Hey y'all. Um, so I just had a really bizarre, well, not just, I yesterday, in the wee hours of the morning experienced a very bizarre experience. Had a very bizarre experience, excuse me. I was going to make my first episode kind of about Kyle Richards and how I relate to her in a lot of ways. Do I always agree with her? Absolutely not. But I get her in a lot of ways. And that was kind of what my first episode was going to be about. But unfortunately, Sunday night, my mother passed away. So I got that news in the early hours of the morning on Monday morning. And it got me thinking one of the other shows I was going to cover was The Pit. So that's what we're going to talk about today and how it relates to the death of my mother and how I think that my son and I might have weird witchy powers or anyway. So first of all, fucking love The Pit. The pacing, the characters. Yes, there are some formulaic characters, but I don't care. I find it comforting. I was a big fan of Must See TV, fucking John Wells. Oh my God. And I think about The West Wing and all those long tracking shots that Tommy Schlamme directed. Don't even fucking get me started. But anyway, so Noah Wiley is very comforting to me. Who that watched TV in 95 through Jesus, God even knows. My youngest child was born from like literally the entire part of my young adulthood. I watched ER and so it's very comforting to have them back on, to have Noah Wiley back on my screen and kind of in that same kind of setting. Also, the character he's playing is leveled. The show has so many different levels. The interactions, the subtle interactions. And I'm going to primarily talk about the episode in which he's trying to help this brother and sister come to terms with letting go of their father, and he talks about the Hawaiian ritual that he was told about. That and shit. Now I gotta get my notes because what the fuck? Because I won't say it in order. To help you let go, which is I love you, thank you, I forgive you, and please forgive me. And my son and I actually watched this episode together before my mom passed away. Um, but when we watched it, we looked at each other and we were like, wow, that's really fucking simple. Think about that. And think about if we said those things to each other every day, to each other while we're alive in a million different ways. And you think about, how we give and shit, I'm not trying to brand anything. And you think about how we give and receive love and stuff like that. And how simple that is. And as we were talking about that, we were also talking about because my father died in 2001 and his ashes are still with me. He had expressed wanting to have his ashes scattered where we lived in Kansas, but we didn't live there anymore by the time I was ready to do that. And my mother was ready to do that. And she was never really ready to do that. And always talked about how she wanted their ashes mixed together, and to be scattered. And the person, it's so hard because you want to respect wishes in every possible way. But the physical act of scattering someone's ashes or burying whatever you're going to do with the remains of your loved one, that physical act is for the living. It's not for the dead. I was always It always upset me so much when my grandfather died, when my grandmother died. We had these viewings and this kind of traditional, and I knew that was something I never wanted. I know before my father passed away, he talked about how that was never anything he wanted. And this was something that we always talked about very openly as a family. So it was very nice that this show opened up that dialogue between my son and I, because then a Sunday or Monday morning, however you want to look at it, when I got the news that my mother had passed away, um, I knew exactly what to do because she and I had had these conversations. And then my son and I had had this conversation just the week before where we said no, they did, it's time to get them to the earth. And so if something happens with my mother, we need to go to the ocean. She loved the ocean. We can put all of my dad in the ocean because he fucking hated to swim. That would be terrible for him. Also, he wouldn't want to totally be away from his family, I feel like. But anyway, um and so we're planning a family trip. When we're ready to go, we think out to the East Coast because they both loved like Cape Cod and that area and stuff. And it's an area that I love too. And I think I would like to show my kids. So I want to say thank you to the pit and for opening that up. It was an important dialogue for me to have. So that being said, now I'm going to talk about the pit and why I'm obsessed with it. The characters are beautifully and richly drawn, and they're subtle. They're a tease. I, like most people, particularly people that were raised and socialized female, which I am, I identify, I'm a cis woman. I'm not saying I'm not. But we're kind of raised to hold a little bit of ourselves back and create that mystery. And I enjoy that the pit does that a little bit. They give us a little tease. They're revealing slowly, you know, the relationship between Robbie and Heather. And clearly there's a history there and they alluded to it. And that's really great. It's clearly a safe space, and the producers have worked hard, I think, to make it that. As far as our LGBTQ plus brothers and allies and sisters and theys, thems, and everybody else out there. And in particular, there was an episode where, and I'm sorry, I don't know the characters' names. The next time I talk about this, I will be more informed and I will have better notes. But the character who's got the ankle bracelet, and she was showing the med student, and they were helping the sommelier who had cut herself. And my son, while he was watching it, we were both worried that it was an instance of self-harm. But that turned out not to be the case. But what was great was the subtle, but perfect allyship of the med student said, "Hey, I noticed that there's a misgendering mistake in your chart. This is how it's going to be going forward." And my son looked at me and he said, "It's those small kindnesses that mean the most." So y'all remember that. And that sticks with me. And that's so important out there. Oh my God, to make people feel seen and a part of things. So that part is really interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. Is Heather's baby Robbie's? Did they hook up recently? I need to know. Whose baby is that? I need to know. What's going to happen with the Kraken? And what about the guy that's all hot-headed in the waiting room? We're so worried there's going to be like an active bang bang situation or something, and nobody wants that. So these are the things that the pit has given me. I hope that y'all watch it because it's great, and I hope to do a deep dive on it soon. Thanks. Bye.